You ever wonder why people do what they do? You know, why some folks just leap into action like the second they have an idea?
Yeah, well, others need to map out every single step before they even start.
Exactly. Or why some words just click with someone, get a real reaction, and others, poof, gone.
Mm-hmm. It feels like a total mystery sometimes.
It really does.
Yeah.
But what if there's a hidden logic, like a surprising system behind motivation, behind how we communicate?
Well, that's exactly what we're getting into today.
Today, we are doing a deep dive into Shelle Rose Charvet's book, Words That Change Minds, and this really powerful system called the LLAB profile.
It's quite something.
Our mission here is basically to give you a shortcut. We want to unpack the surprising facts about influence, motivation, and how you can actually use this stuff. Ready to get into it?
Let's do it. So the LLAB profile, it's not about sticking labels on people, putting them in fixed boxes.
Okay.
Think of it more like a status report. It shows how someone's responding in a specific situation, a specific context.
Context. So what does that mean exactly in this system?
It means how we act isn't set in stone. It changes. You're different at work than you are at home, right?
Totally. Or even with different friends.
Exactly. So these patterns aren't permanent personality traits. They're how we adapt to different environments. Dynamic.
That makes so much sense, like putting on different glasses for different situations.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And this idea, it really seems to be the foundation. The book has this key influencing and persuasion principle.
Ah, the bus stop analogy.
Yes. To get people to go somewhere with you, you need to meet them where they are. Like, don't try to drag them to your bus stop. Instead, go to their bus stop, and from their bus stop, invite them on the bus. It really captures the whole approach, understanding their starting point.
So where did this LA profile actually come from?
Well, it grew out of neuro-linguistic programming, NLP.
Okay, NLP. I've heard of that.
Right. And NLP wasn't about analyzing problems traditionally. It was about studying super effective communicators. How did they get those amazing results? So modeling success, not just diagnosing issues.
Precisely. Reverse engineering what works. And it's all grounded in how our brains handle information. There's this linguist, Noam Chomsky. He pointed out 3 ways our minds universally filter reality. There's just too much information coming at us.
Right, information overload.
Totally. So first, there's deletion. We just unconsciously tune stuff out, can't possibly pay attention to everything.
Makes sense.
Then distortion. That's how we change information. Like, you walk into an empty room and picture where the sofa goes. You're distorting reality to plan, to create.
Okay, yeah. Creativity, planning.
Exactly. And third is generalization. We take a few examples and make a general rule. A kid opens a couple of doors, figures out how all doors work, until they find one that pushes instead of pulls,
So those 3 are universal. How does that link to individual differences?
Great question. That's where Leslie Cameron Bandler's work is key. She looked at specific patterns of these filters, calling them meta-programs.
Meta-program.
Yeah. Think of them like the unique doors each of us uses for information, what we let in, what we filter out. Then Roger Bailey adapted these specifically for work, for business communication. That became the LAB profile.
So it's a practical tool built on those deeper theories.
Exactly. A map to understand what makes people tick in different situations.
And just to circle back to that crucial point, these aren't fixed traits. They depend on the context, right?
Absolutely critical. Context is everything. You're not just a proactive person, full stop. You might be proactive at work, but reactive planning a vacation.
Okay, got it. So knowing all this, how does it help us, the listeners, really understand how people operate day to day?
Well, it gives you a framework to notice things you might have missed before.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting, I think. Let's dive into what actually gets people moving. Their motivation triggers. The LLAB profile has specific patterns for this. Where do we start?
Let's start with how people kick things off. It's called proactive versus reactive.
Proactive versus reactive.
So, proactive people, they're the initiators. They tend to jump in, act quickly, sometimes without thinking it all through. It's that just do it energy. Reactive people, on the other hand, they prefer to wait. They consider things, analyze, and then respond to the situation. They don't usually start from a blank slate.
Okay. Is one more common than the other?
Well, Roger Bailey's research, mainly in work contexts, suggested about 15–20% are mostly proactive, a big chunk, maybe 60–65% are a mix, and then 15–20% are mostly reactive.
That feels very real. I'm picturing, like, A kitchen renovation.
Oh, yeah.
One person's just flinging stuff into boxes, ready to smash walls, total proactive mode.
Right. Get it done now.
And the other person's like, hold on, we need a plan, labels for the boxes. Where will this go? That's the reactive approach.
Absolutely. And you can see how that difference could cause friction if you don't understand it. Work, home, anywhere.
For sure. So how would you influence each type?
With proactive folks, use action words. Go for it. Jump in. Get it done now. For reactive people, use language that invites consideration. Let's think about this. Consider this. Here's something to respond to. This will clarify it for you.
Okay, that makes sense. Meet them where they are. What's next? Hot buttons.
Exactly. Criteria. These are your personal hot buttons. Those specific words or phrases that spark a real emotional, even physical response.
So how do you find out someone's criteria?
You just ask questions about what's important to them in a specific context. What do you want in a job? What's key for you in a new car? What matters most in a team project?
And you listen for?
The exact words they use. These words are labels for their values in that context. The book has this great example, Simone, talking about a job. She lists things like a challenge, using my skills, good pay, working with people, by asking her to compare them, like what's more important, challenge or pay. You find her hierarchy. For her, challenge was number one.
And using their exact words is crucial.
Incredibly powerful. There's that story about the woman who accepted a job without even knowing the details.
Just because they hit her key criteria words. Amazing.
Right. Or the kid who hated the idea of reading club because for him that meant stupid kids. Change the framing, change the meaning associated with the words, and he was in. The labels matter.
Wow.
And there's brain science here, too. Confronting someone's deeply held beliefs, especially the negative ones, lights up parts of the brain tied to identity and threat.
So hitting a negative hot button feels like a personal attack almost?
It can, yeah. Which is why avoiding them is key. Like that committee, the Fairness and Employment Committee, terrible response rate.
Because fairness triggered negative associations for employers.
Probably. They changed the name to something neutral and boom, 85% response rate. Language matters.
Okay, another big one. Are you moving towards something good or away from something bad?
Precisely. Toward versus away from.
How does that work?
People with a toward pattern are focused on their goals. What they want to achieve, gain, attain. They're pulled towards the positive outcome.
The potential downside being?
They might miss obstacles or potential problems because they're so focused on the prize.
Okay. And away from?
They're motivated by problems to solve, things to avoid, mistakes to prevent. They're moving away from the negative. They're often great at spotting risks, troubleshooting.
But maybe you lose sight of the big goal sometimes.
Could happen. They might get bogged down in fixing things. The book gives the medical field as a classic away from example in the West.
How so?
It's largely focused on sickness, disease, avoiding death. Even holistic health got named preventive medicine, still framing it as avoiding something negative.
That's a really sharp observation. You see this everywhere, don't you?
Absolutely. Think about labor negotiations. Management is often toward profits, objectives. Unions are often away from protecting members from layoffs, bad conditions.
Right, or that research about entrepreneurs.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. Investors apparently tend to ask male founders, how will you win? That's toward. But female founders, how will you avoid losing? That's away from. Same goal, different framing based on who they're talking to.
Wow, that shows potential bias right there.
It certainly raises questions. And even personally, like the author using an away from strategy for writer's blocks.
Correcting mistakes instead of creating from scratch.
Clever. The key takeaway isn't that one is better. They're just different motivation triggers. You need to know which one to press.
Okay, next up. How do you know you did a good job? Is it inside you, or do you need someone else to tell you?
That's internal versus external source of judgment or motivation.
Internal versus external. Okay.
Internal people decide for themselves. They have their own standards. They just know if they did well based on their own feelings or criteria. External people need outside feedback. Praise, recognition, data, results, opinions from others. That's what tells them they've succeeded and keeps them motivated.
What's the rough split on that?
Bailey's work suggested around 40% mainly internal, maybe 20% mix, and 40% mainly external.
So quite balanced, actually.
Yeah. You see it in action all the time. Car dealers wanting you to drive the car that appeals to your internal sense.
Dealer for yourself.
Right.
Correct.
Or someone reading 50 online reviews before buying something that's external validation seeking.
Makes sense. I think about relationships, too, like Gottman's research on bids for attention. Partners often need that external acknowledgement.
Definitely. Or doctors and patients. You might be external to your doctor in the office, taking their word.
Sure.
But back home, you become internal about your own health again. You decide how you really feel if you'll actually take the pills.
Right. So what about people who are really internal?
Ah, yes. Charvet talks about the macho pattern for those hyper-internal folks, the ones who seem to already know everything.
We've all met someone like that.
Probably. They can be tough to communicate with because they resist outside opinions. The trick is the macho test, using the language of suggestion.
Language is suggestion.
But
Like
here,
what?
phrases like, as you probably already know, or you might want to consider, or this is just something to think about.
So you frame it as their idea, or just an option for them to evaluate using their own judgment.
Precisely. Command language like, you must do this, or here's what you need to know, feels like you're trying to take away their autonomy.
And that triggers immediate resistance.
Exactly. Suggestion respects their internal authority. It's much more effective.
That's a really valuable tip. Okay, we've covered motivation triggers. Now let's shift to productivity patterns, how people actually process information and get stuff done.
Right. This is about how they handle information, what kinds of tasks suit them, and what it takes to convince them.
Where do we start here?
Let's look at scope. This is about the size of information chunks people prefer, big picture or tiny details.
General versus specific.
Exactly. General people like the overview, the big picture, the main concepts. Specific people need the details, the facts, the sequence, the concrete steps.
I'm thinking of Douglas Adams again. The answer, 42, to the ultimate question. A very specific answer to a very general question.
Perfect analogy. And you see the mismatch. General people get bored or lost in too much detail.
Zone out completely.
Yeah. And specific people get frustrated with vague instructions. They're like, okay, but how? What are the exact steps?
So the key is translating between them.
Absolutely. Give the general person the executive summary, give the specific person the detailed plan or checklist, or help the specific person generate the summary for the general person.
Got it. Okay, next pattern.
Organization. This is about whether someone focuses more on people and feelings or on tasks and systems. Person versus thing.
Person versus thing, okay.
People with the person pattern often make relationships the priority. Rapport is key. Feelings matter. Sometimes the relationship becomes the task.
And the thing pattern.
They focus on the task itself, the system, getting the job done efficiently. People might be part of the system, but the focus is the outcome, the structure.
Could you give an example?
Sure. Think of a great maître d' at a restaurant. They're managing things, tables, bookings, workflow. But their ultimate goal is the people's happiness, the experience. So they blend both.
Ah, interesting.
Or sometimes politicians might talk about the electorate almost like a thing to be managed with data and strategies.
Right. Or that funny example from the book about taking a picture.
Oh, yeah. Someone takes a picture, ostensibly, of their new car, but the person standing next to it is perfectly centered and in focus, and the car is just there. The focus was the person, not the thing.
Happens all the time. And you mentioned burnout risk for person pattern people in helping professions.
Yes, if they don't maintain boundaries. They can get so caught up in the client's feelings, person focus, that they lose sight of the task empowering the client, which involves systems and steps, a thing focus. Self-awareness is key there.
Definitely. Okay, what's the last productivity pattern?
This is about how people get convinced. It has two parts, the convincer channel and the convincer mode.
Convincer channel and mode.
The channel is how they need to receive information to start believing it. Do they need to see it, hear it, read it, or do it? Try it out themselves.
See, hear, read, do.
Okay. The mode is how that information gets processed to reach the point of conviction. How many times do they need it? Number of examples. Does it happen instantly? Automatic? Does it need to be true every time? Consistent? Or does it take a while? Period of time.
Wow, okay. That consistent one sounds challenging.
It can be. Think of those tough customers. If someone has a consistent convincer mode, they are basically never fully convinced.
Seriously.
Yeah, you have to reestablish credibility and reconvince them pretty much every single time you interact. What was true yesterday doesn't automatically carry over to today.
So if you're selling to them or managing them?
You need to consistently demonstrate value, maybe use that language of suggestion we talked about for internals, like check it out for yourself again, see if it still makes sense. You meet their need for ongoing, consistent proof.
That explains a lot about certain interactions.
Doesn't it? And what's really powerful as we wrap up the patterns is realizing people aren't just one pattern, it's the combinations that are revealing.
Right. We're more complex than just one setting.
Exactly. How these patterns interact in a specific context, that's where the deepest insights lie.
So let's pull all these pieces together. We've gone through motivation patterns, productivity patterns. What does this actually mean for you, the listener, in the real world? How does this help?
Well, think about conflict resolution. Imagine a clash between someone who needs options and someone who needs procedures.
Total mismatch.
Right. Or thing focus versus person focus. Understanding these underlying patterns lets you bridge the gap. You can translate. Offer options within a clear procedure. Address the task while acknowledging the person's feelings. Meet them at their bus stop.
Yeah, and frame it using their toward or away from motivation.
Especially if they're internal and away from, frame the solution as moving away from a problem they identified. Gives them ownership.
That's huge. What about something like coaching?
Oh, definitely. You can spot stuck state patterns. Often it's a mix, like reactive, away from maybe options and feeling.
So they see all the problems, all the possibilities, feel overwhelmed, and can't act.
Pretty much. They're paralyzed by analysis and choice, that options dilemma. A coach knowing this wouldn't give them more options. They'd offer a simple procedure, maybe just one step to get them unstuck. Shifting the patterns.
Clever. And hiring, you mentioned that earlier.
Yes, recruitment. It's huge. You can profile the job for the necessary patterns, then write the ad using language that attracts people with those patterns. It goes way beyond just listing skills.
Like that engineering firm example.
Exactly. They profiled the production manager role, rewrote the ad, and bam, went from one good candidate out of 300 to 8 great ones out of 100. Better fit, less wasted time.
That's a massive difference. Negotiation.
Crucial.
Oh.
Analyze your counterpart's patterns beforehand. That union negotiation story is gold.
The one with the consistent convincer pattern.
That's the one. Management realized the union reps needed to be consistently reconvinced the deal was fair. Understanding that led to the first 5-year contract ever because they kept reinforcing the value. It wasn't lack of trust, it was their pattern.
Incredible. What about sales and marketing?
Companies can use this to map customer buying journeys. Like that mutual fund example, clients needed internal options away from for evaluating.
Avoiding losses, exploring choices themselves.
Right. But then they needed external procedures for implementing. Tell me exactly what to do to reach my goals. The sales process had to match that shift.
And online, getting people to follow through.
Often involves hooking them into a procedure. Think of story-based marketing, step-by-step funnels. People are motivated to complete a sequence once they start.
Makes sense. And education.
Huge potential. Imagine tailoring teaching to a student's convincer mode. If a kid needs 6 examples to feel convinced they get it, but class only provides 3.
They feel lost, unsure.
Exactly. Or matching internal-external patterns. It could boost engagement, reduce dropout significantly, provide the right kind of feedback or the right number of practice runs.
So many applications.
Yeah.
What about general communication, like public speaking?
Knowing about default profiles helps. Assume your audience is internal, for example, until proven otherwise. Establish credibility first. Let them decide.
Right. And handling unexpected moments, like that banana peel story.
Oh, classic. Speaker's giving a talk, someone yells a distracting comment.
Yeah, what happened?
Instead of getting flustered, she instantly deflected it with humor, turning it back on the heckler. Gee, Peter, unfortunately, I can't say the same for you.
Ooh.
The audience loved it. She showed she was in control, understood the dynamic. Instant credibility boost by mastering the moment, understanding the audience pattern.
What a great illustration of thinking on your feet using these ideas.
Oh.
Okay, wow. We have covered a lot of ground here.
We really have.
We've taken this deep dive into the LAB profile, looked at these hidden patterns behind motivation and productivity. Hopefully you listening now have this new lens, this different way to see interactions.
Remember, knowledge is one thing, but applying it is where the real value lies. So thinking bigger picture, how might really noticing these subtle cues in language, in behavior, how might that actually change your day-to-day?
Yeah, how could it shift your conversations, your decisions, big or small?
How will understanding these patterns change not just what you say, but maybe more importantly, how you listen?
That's the invitation, really. Try listening differently this week. Notice the patterns. Experiment just a little with meeting people at their bus stop. See what happens.
You might be very surprised.